Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an introduction into Santacruz silver mining, traded on the TSXV under the ticker SCZ, and on the OTCQB under the ticker SCZMF. And we're joined today with the Executive Chairman and CEO of Santacruz Silver Mining, Arturo Préstamo. And Arturo, it's great to get you on the show. Actually, you have been on the show many years in the past, but Santacruz Silver was really a different company back then. And so this is really a reintroduction to the company. Initially, you had two smaller mines producing in Mexico, and then you added a third mine in 2021, the Zimapan mine. You have kept the Zimapan mine. The other two mines are no longer with the company, but you have incorporated, as of 2022, a major transaction with Glencore where you brought in 5 different silver and zinc mines, 3 different processing centers and mills, and a whole division of the company that handles sourcing material locally in Bolivia and then reselling and trading the metals. So it's a lot different company today, so really it deserves a reintroduction. And I'd love you to walk us through how this company has really transformed since 2021 and bringing into the fold not just the Mexican asset with Zimapan, but these 5 other mines in Bolivia for a different Santacruz Silver today. Walk us through a quick snapshot of the Mexican operations as well as the operations in Bolivia.
Absolutely, Chad. I'm very pleased to be back with you again after, as you point out, many years. I'm glad to be back, and definitely with a different portfolio of assets from back then. We have now 4 producing assets and 1 trading company in Bolivia. So we're producing close to 20 million ounces silver equivalent on a yearly basis. So we're very excited of how the company has transitioned now into this level of production. No, so as you point out, I mean, in 2021, we bought out the Zimapan mine from Peñoles, and it's a mine that has a lot of upside potential. And as we speak, if you see our quarter-to-quarter production for the last year, it has been increasing its production on a quarterly basis. So we have prepared that mine for next year, and I'm sure you will see the pace of the mine still ramping up for a few quarters more. So we're excited about how Zimapan is performing. And then in 2022, we acquired all Bolivian assets from Glencore, where technically you are buying 5 mines, 3 mills, and 1 trading company. So overall, this group of assets produce around 16 million ounces of silver equivalent. So for us, our Bolivian assets are a very important part of our production performance, no? So yeah, we're happy to see how things have been moving out over the last quarters. In Bolivia as well, we have been performing, again, increase of production quarter over quarter since we took over. So yeah, very excited on the portfolio of assets that today Santacruz is formed by.
Yeah, Arturo, and it looks like it was quite a Q3 indeed. So you put out this news on November the 25th. Then we'll put a link to the news below this interview so people can follow along. But your silver equivalent ounces, 4,644,013. So that's a pretty nice production profile of what a mid-tier silver producer would be producing. And if you extrapolate that out over the year, what do you think the guidance is for just a 12-month period from just the production standpoint?
Well, actually, we're planning to give a guidance early next year, Chad, and pretty much it will be a little bit higher than what, if you extrapolate this year's quarter over quarter production, it'll be pretty much a bit higher than this year's. But yeah, we'll be able to give a more accurate budget early next year, including all-in sustain at the different mines. But yeah, I mean, again, if we extrapolate numbers from today's or this year's production, which should be, let's say, slightly higher from 2024.
Okay. And you also had a really good quarter just in the sense of your revenue increased 21% year over year, and your EBITDA increased 242% year over year, but you also built some cash and cash equivalents. Let's dive in a little bit more to the Q3 numbers and just get some of the key metrics for people.
Absolutely. Actually, Q3 has been a very good quarter for us, and it has to do mainly because of the steady production that we have, the disciplined approach in terms of our cost, And today's metal prices, no doubt, this is helping us significantly. We were able to increase from Q2 another $11 million into our treasury. In addition to that, we had been paying and bringing down accounts payable with suppliers for more than $10 million now for the year. We have also bought a lot of underground equipment for our Zimapan mine. So in addition to that, we did a significant amortization to the Trafigura loan in Mexico for the Zimapan mine for around $3 million. So after all those items, we end up with a $11 million of increase in our treasury from quarter to quarter. So we're very pleased to see how the mines are performing, and definitely very busy making sure that we keep the same rhythm and with the idea of starting to see more efficiencies in our operations.
Well, and you report in silver equivalent ounces, but really you produce silver, zinc, lead, and copper. Can you give us a rough idea of the contributions from each of the metals, just a rough idea of which ones are most important?
Absolutely. From a revenue point of view, around 47% of your revenues are coming from silver. Around 48% is coming from zinc. Zinc is a very important contribution for us. And the rest is a little bit of copper in Mexico, and of course, lead. Around 2% of our production is coming from lead. But mainly it's silver and zinc.
Okay. I think that most people diving into the numbers can see that, but I just wanted you to clarify it because I hear people say, oh, they just have a lot of lead or copper, but it's like it's really mostly silver and zinc. And so you have a lot of leverage to an upside price move in the silver price or in the zinc price. And so nice to see a better silver equivalent mix than some of the other companies we see that sometimes have very little silver component in them, but they still call themselves a silver company. So I think that's a key distinguisher for Santa Cruz Silver. Now, let's look at the Zimapan mine in Mexico just really quickly. Just give us some of the highlights about operations, growth, and potential to expand it.
Absolutely, Chad. And just to wrap up zinc and silver contents, just on a pure silver on a yearly basis, we're round numbers producing around 7 million ounces of silver, pure silver, right? So, yeah, getting back to Zimapan, definitely this year has been a good year for that mine, for Zimapan. We have been really focused in improving operations, increasing production, and bringing costs down. We have actually made a lot of efficiencies from an SG&A approach at Zimapan, and we have brought costs significantly down from this time next year. In addition to that, production has been increasing consistently quarter over quarter. We have done a significant amount of development now to level 960 at the Carrizal mine. That level is technically the future of the mine. So we have prepared and built to incline the shafts for ventilation. The mine is now at level 916, very well ventilated. We have already added all the electrical systems, so all our underground equipment are ready to go, all the services, compressed air, and all the other services that are required for a good and healthy operation are now in place. So we have invested a significant amount of money, especially this last quarter, this third quarter. We have renewed our underground fleet at Zimapan to achieve the efficiencies that we want. And next year, you will see a stronger mine. You will see the Carrizal level 960 coming into full production, and that will help us to increase the silver content a little bit more. Just to give you an idea, from 80 grams of silver per ton that you have at Zimapan, you should be in the neighborhood of 100 grams. It might not sound too much, but by the volumes that an operation that Zimapan has on a daily basis, it's going to be a significant increase. No, so we're very excited about the future of Zimapan and how the mine has been developing over the last 12 months.
All right, I appreciate that update in Mexico at the Zimapan mine. Now let's shift over to Bolivia, where you really have three different areas, but then a lot of moving parts. Because, like you say, you have five mines, three mills, and processing centers. You have part of an energy plant that has hydro and nat gas thermal. So a lot of moving parts here. But let's just keep it simple for today. At Illapa, one of these three areas, you have two different mines and mills, the Bolivar mine and mill and the Porco mine and mill. Give us a quick snapshot of how those contribute to the overall operations.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, Bolivar, it's one of our, let's say, largest mines in Bolivia. Produces around 1.2 million ounces of silver equivalent, where silver counts for around 47-48%. The rest is pretty much zinc directly. That mine is a mine that has been running, Chad, for 200 years non-stop so far. It's impressive, the amount of years and the amount of mineralization. Every time we execute a drilling campaign, we intersect into mineralization areas. So we are very excited about the future and the resources that that mine will keep delivering in the coming years. Today, the resource that we have filed under 43101 technical reports, the mine has around 8 years of mine life with its current production. So nonetheless, we still have a lot of upside. The mine is open along strike and along and a deep. So yep, we definitely foresee this mine to keep running for many, many more years to come. Then you have Porco mine. Porco mine it's a smaller mine when compared to Bolivar, smaller by its production figures. You have almost half of the head grades that you have in Bolivar, and also the veins are narrow veins when compared to Bolivar. Just to give you an idea, Porco's widest veins in the area are around 1 meter, 2 meters at the most, and most of them are half a meter through width. So running that mine, it's a more artisanal kind of mining that is required in order to get good dilution control. And that's pretty much what we have been focusing over the last 2 years. Back then, when Glencore was running these mines, all of them were running under a mechanized process with jumbos and big underground equipment. So what it was happening there is that you were having a lot of dilution, no? So we came back to more artisanal mining methods with jacklegs and the typical cut and fill mining methods to be more cautious on dilution. So we should expect by next year an improvement in terms of the head grades going into the mill, and as such, an improvement in its production. So that's Porco in Bolivia.
Okay, appreciate the insights as to Bolivar being a bigger contributor, and then with the Porco mine, really taking more of a surgical approach to it with the jacklegs and doing it with less dilution
Correct.
to try to increase the grades and recoveries. And then at the next center, you have Cabala Blanco, and it's really made up of three
Right.
different mines. You've got the Tres Amigos mine, the Reserva mine, and the CQCQT mine, all kind of funneling into the Don Diego mill. So take us through this kind of just as a group of mines.
That's exactly right. And Caballo Blanco is the youngest of all of them. Actually, Caballo Blanco has been running for 20 years only when compared to Porco, which has been running for 500 years, and Bolivar, 200 years nonstop. It's impressive, those numbers. So Caballo Blanco is literally a young and new mine with three mines, actually, that all the three of them comprise the group of Caballo Blanco. These mines are higher silver head grades than Porco, for sure, similar to Bolivar. We are very excited about how this mine has been developing. The last quarter, we did some efficiencies there, if you allow me to put it that way. We noticed that running the Reserva mine from San Lucas and blending that ore to all the ore bought from San Lucas was a better approach than running that ore together with the other two mines, with CQC and Colquechaquita and Tres Amigos mine. So that alone, that movement, just reordering the processing of that ore, increased the silver recoveries for around 5%. So that is kind of an efficient initiative that we're having at Caballo Blanco now, and we're starting to review our different mines to see and make sure that we're blending the ore from the different veins in the right way to get the best recoveries. But very exciting how Caballo Blanco has been developing, and we expect to keep for next year a very solid production, same as it has been this year.
Yeah, and it's an interesting part science and part art to get the blending right on all the different mines and the recoveries. And then just speak to, you also have interest in the power plant there that you got from Glencore, the hydro and the nat gas thermal power. So how does that play into keeping the cost down?
Absolutely. Actually, we own the hydro and the thermoelectric facilities, 100% owned. And they are small facilities, but nonetheless, they provide 30% of all the energy required by Caballo Blanco, including the Don Diego milling facility. So it does help us in terms of reaching certain economies or efficiencies when it comes to power. So, yeah, very, very interesting, let's say, assets, which definitely integrate nicely with our Caballo Blanco mines and milling facility of Don Diego.
And then, Arturo, you have one last profit center here in Bolivia, and that's San Lucas. And this is a little different in that it's not technically a mine, but what you're doing is you are feed sourcing from smaller mines around the area, and then you take that ore and process it at your mills, and then kind of have a trading company there where then you warehouse and then resell the metal. So speak to us about San Lucas as another revenue center.
That's exactly right, Chad. And it's a very interesting business model for us. I mean, San Lucas has the, let's say, the ability to feed ore into our mills whenever it's required, in addition to what San Lucas runs on a monthly basis. But let's say that you have a hiccup in one of your mines, San Lucas is ready to provide ore to whatever mill required it. And in that sense, we guarantee that our mills are running 100%. In addition to that, San Lucas is, of course, a business for us. We generate around 5 to 7 million net revenue on a yearly basis. We don't run any chances. We buy the ore from small miners. We process it at our mills, and it takes us 1 month to produce a concentrate and to collect the revenues from that concentrate. So in the process, or in the meantime, we hedge the metal contents of that so that we don't run any chances or any risks by the difference of what we're paying to the small miners and the moment that we sell the concentrate. As you know, there's a lot of volatility in zinc and silver. So that hedge, it's only for 1 month, and it guarantees us that we have always a margin as we expect in San Lucas and not run any chances of at any given time losing money because, I don't know, silver or zinc went higher from the moment you pay to that group of miners. So it's a very strategic business for us. And also it's a good contributor for the communities and for society as such. I mean, we work definitely and bring to all the small miners into the formal economy. We pay them to the banking system. And having the most efficient mills in Bolivia, which are the 3 mills that we have, that allows you to pay a fair price for the ore that you're buying from small miners, and at the same time retain taxes from them, pay the taxes to the government, and they experience the same or even better payments or returns on their metal as if they were selling it on the market without any formalities. No, so it's also a contributor. We pay, just to give you an idea, we retain about $8 million of taxes on a yearly basis, and we pay it to the Bolivian government. So it's a good contributor as well to society and to the local governments as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a true win-win because it's helping you keep your mills fed and at capacity. It's helping you have another revenue center, but it's also helping the small miners to get a fair price and process and pay the taxes. The government is excited because they're getting tax money. So it's a win-win-win all around for everybody, and it's just a nice profit
100%.
center. Yeah, for the company.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk a little bit, Arturo, about your background in the industry. Obviously, you've been here at Santacruz for some time, but also maybe highlight one or two other key people from the management team or the board of directors. Who is the team behind Santacruz Silver?
Right. Well, I think that's the most important thing that this company has. It's people, and definitely our team in Bolivia. It's very strong. Eduardo Torresillas, our president, is a very seasonal and experienced miner. He was, before joining us, he was with Sumitomo, working at San Cristobal as a director of San Cristobal in some of the responsibilities back then at San Cristobal. We have Andres Bedregal as well, which today is our interim CFO, a very experienced CFO, which came from the banking industry in Bolivia. And definitely in Mexico, we have a strong operator as well, which is Carlos Bravo, the general manager at our Mexican Zimapan mine. So the whole team, including our staff, we definitely have tried to build a strong team, a team that works as a team and actually with higher standards of ethic and professionalism. So I think from that point of view, that is another very strong asset from the for the company, its management team, and not to say the board. The board is also a very experienced board, very seasonal in the different disciplines. So yeah, we're blessed to have such a strong board and management team in place.
Well, and let's also discuss the financial health of the company. We already did that a little bit with the Q3 financials, but walk us through the share structure. What kind of stake does management have in the shares, and anything else you want to see about the share structure or the key stakeholders or analyst coverage, things like that.
Right. Well, today our share structure, we have around 375 million shares fully diluted outstanding. As management and insiders, we owned around 9%. If we were to include some other groups out of Mexico where I live and they had been supportive of the company since day one, we might get another 10-15%. No? So we do have a commitment to deliver, to be cautious on any share dilution to our shareholders, and definitely a commitment to deliver and create value to all of our shareholders. No? Technically speaking, that's where our share structure stands today. We have a strong balance sheet now after the Glencore restructuring, and generation of cash is improving literally on a monthly basis. So I think we're in a very good financial position for the time being.
Do you think with that stronger cash position and better balance sheet that in this kind of an environment with silver possibly starting to break out over the last year or two and back in the 30s again, would you be interested in making any acquisitions, or is your plate full with all the different mines that you already have?
Well, that's an interesting question, Chad. But I think for the time being, we have a very strong portfolio of assets. We're having another asset to keep growing for another 4 million ounces we expect for silver equivalent, which is Soracaya, an exploration asset in Bolivia, a brownfield asset. So I think internally we have still significant room to keep growing, and we do not anticipate any M&A in the near future. But something that it's important just to mention is that whenever something arises in that line, it should be something that adds significant value to our shareholders for us to evaluate and consider.
Okay. Well, yeah, you've got a lot of organic growth already in place, and then with Soracaya, even another project to bring into the fold as a production center down the road. So we'll keep looking at that as things develop. And then I guess just final thoughts, Arturo, for people looking at Santa Cruz Silver or maybe re-looking at it that haven't visited it in a while. What would you leave investors with or people listening to this call with as far as the key takeaways about the company and where you're positioned in the silver mining space?
Well, definitely, I think it'll be important for our investors and possible investors to follow the story shortly, to see our development quarter over quarter and the next quarters as well. I'm sure that they will see that we are focused in our operations and trying to improve them and make them more efficient. And as such, with today's metal prices, we'll keep strengthening our balance sheet and keep building a stronger company. I definitely would like to invite everyone to follow the story and to pay attention to the next coming quarters as we feel comfortable that we should keep growing and increasing our balance sheet in many ways.
All right. Well, we'll take you up on that, Arturo, and we'll follow along with you when you put out your Q4 numbers and get you back on the show for an update at that time. And for people listening in, if you want to follow along with the news flow out of Santa Cruz Silver, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you right over to the Santacruz Silver website, straight to their news section, so you can follow along as more information hits the wires. And Arturo, keep us posted of any other key milestones, and we'll look forward to getting an update from you after the Q4 numbers.
Absolutely, Chad. We'll be in touch, and I very much appreciate your time and the opportunity to share our story with your audience. Thank you so much.